When Donald Trump returned to the White House promising to supercharge the U.S. economy, many voters expected strong job growth, lower unemployment, and a return to prosperity. Instead, the summer of 2025 has brought troubling signs of stagnation, from weak job creation to rising unemployment to exaggerated claims about tariff revenue. The cracks in Trump's economic narrative are becoming harder to ignore.
But we begin this hour with a worse than expected U.S. jobs report. The country adding 22,000 jobs in August. That is significantly lower than the 75,000 some analysts had predicted. Unemployment is at a 4.3%. That is the highest rate since 2021.
The most recent Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows just how fragile the economy has become. In August, the United States added only 22,000 jobs, an anemic figure for a nation of more than 330 million people. Manufacturing shed another 12,000 jobs in August, bringing total losses in the sector to 78,000 so far this year. Federal government employment also dropped sharply, with 15,000 more jobs lost last month and nearly 100,000 eliminated since January as Trump deconstructs the administrative state.
The unemployment rates have ticked up a little bit, but right now we're highly confident with the trends that native-born workers are replacing the illegal workers that are either now not new coming to the country or going back to their homes. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
The weakening labour market has exposed widening inequalities as well. The unemployment rate for Black Americans climbed to 7.5% in August, up from 6.1% a year earlier. By contrast, the rate for white Americans stands at 3.7%. That racial gap, already a persistent feature of the economy, has grown worse under Trump's policies. Perhaps even more troubling than the latest numbers are the revisions to earlier reports. The BLS recently acknowledged that hiring in the spring and summer had actually been far weaker than initially believed. Trump lashed out at the BLS, claiming without evidence that the revisions were rigged to make him look bad. He seemed to be doing quite a good job of that all by himself. In fact, he went so far as to fire the Bureau's commissioner, replacing her with a political ally who was linked to Project 2025. Economists warn this move threatens the credibility of the nation's most important labor data. But even a Trump-friendly commissioner cannot paper over the reality. Job creation has slowed to a crawl. Independent reports support the gloomy picture. Payroll processing firm ADP found that private employers added only 54,000 jobs in August, far below expectations. Despite the grim jobs data, the White House has continued to tout tariffs as a major economic win. However, the Trump regime formally asked the Supreme Court on Wednesday evening to decide whether Trump's ever-shifting tariff policy is lawful. Two federal courts and a total of 10 federal judges have concluded that it is not. On Labor Day, the regime released an image of Trump outside the White House, claiming that tariffs had generated $8 trillion in revenue for the United States and driven hundreds of thousands of jobs. The problem, the U.S. Treasury Department reports actual tariff collections of just $142 billion so far this fiscal year, less than 1/50th of Trump's claim. The $8 trillion figure was almost certainly a lie, likely intended to refer to alleged new investments and false promises. But even then, the numbers still don't add up. While there's been a surge of US-based investment, particularly in artificial intelligence, economists say there is no evidence to support Trump's trillion-dollar boasts. The exaggerated claims raise questions about the accuracy of official White House communications. Trump himself has recently insisted that tariffs are generating trillions of dollars for the U.S. and dismissed concerns about inflation, arguing that the levies provide a financial windfall with no downside. He fails to mention that the tariffs are paid by American importers, not foreign governments. Those costs ripple down to consumers who face higher prices on everyday goods. Meanwhile, the true economic effects of tariffs are becoming clearer. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent projects that those levies could raise about $300 billion annually, But those revenues come at a steep price. Analysts expect tariffs to raise the average household's annual costs by $1,300 in 2025 and $1,700 next year. JP Morgan Chase has warned that the levies could produce meaningful, larger increases in consumer prices later this year. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has also expressed caution. He warned of downside risks tied to Trump's trade and immigration policies. He emphasized that the long-term effects of tariffs on employment and inflation remain uncertain. The disconnect between political messaging and economic reality is stark. On social media, Trump declares that tariffs have saved the U.S. economy and strengthened military power, and that inflation has completely gone. On the ground, businesses face layoffs, job seekers encounter fewer opportunities, and consumers are squeezed by rising costs. Many Americans have simply stopped paying their bills, suffering in silence, while Trump tells them that costs have gone down. Trump campaigned on promises to restore American jobs, rebuild manufacturing, and put workers first, but the evidence tells a completely different story. The labor market is weakening, inequality is growing, and the regime's trade policies are proving more costly than beneficial. While investments in certain industries have surged, they are not translating into broad-based job growth. They are investments in robots, AI, but not in human labor. The Federal Reserve may soon cut interest rates to provide some relief after Trump's bullying, but Powell has made clear that monetary policy alone cannot solve the structural problems created by Trump's tariffs and volatile leadership. As layoffs mount and unemployment ticks upward, it is increasingly difficult for the White House to maintain the narrative of economic success. They can only blame Joe Biden for so long. Beyond jobs and trade, another sector is reeling: tourism. International visitors, once a reliable source of revenue for U.S. cities, are increasingly staying away. Travel analysts point to the growing militarization of urban centers, where troops, armored vehicles, and ICE kidnappings have become common sights as a major deterrent. The perception of instability and heavy-handed security has made destinations like New York, Washington, and Los Angeles far less appealing to tourists who once flocked to them. Las Vegas has experienced a decline in tourism for the 6th consecutive month, with a 12% drop in visitors compared to last year, according to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Canadians are significantly decreasing their border crossings into the U.S., with car trips in June and July down by over 33%. For a president who prides himself on deal-making and business acumen, the data tells a sobering truth. The Trump economy is failing to deliver. People are scared to come to America. Countries like India, the world's 5th richest economy, now don't want to do business with America. Instead of treating tariffs as a component of a coherent trade strategy, Trump has embraced them as a blunt instrument of power, a weapon he can wield on the global stage to project strength and punish rivals. This approach has created a climate of uncertainty for businesses and trading partners. As random tariffs are announced or threatened in response to political disputes rather than long-term economic planning. By turning economic policy into a form of brinkmanship, Trump has blurred the line between diplomacy and domestic politics, using tariffs as symbols of toughness even when their economic costs outweigh their strategic gains. But what did we expect from a guy whose 5 casinos went bankrupt? I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.